Good morning. I'm in California right now and happy to be with you. Today's question is from Anil Pandey, and most of the questions are coming in from readers of You Are the Universe, Knowing Your Cosmic Self and Why It Matters. But as you know, you can send me any question on any topic, and the email is info@jayo.com. info at jayo.com. So today's question, as I said, is from Anil Pandey. He says, "Dear Deepak, I've been following you for years and firmly believe that you are ahead of your time." Well, thank you. Time is a construct. "And that realization of your farsightedness and contributions will happen in due course of time." Well, thank you, Anil, again. It doesn't really matter, but thank you. Based on my listenings of your talks and also reaffirmation from all the other leading thinkers that you mentioned from time to time, Rupert Spira, amazing person; Adya Shanti, amazing person; Eckhart Tolle, amazing person. I now consider myself to be at a stage of theoretical understanding and acceptance of what you mean when you say there is only one awareness. I wonder, however, if you can help take me and your many followers to the stage of truly, quote-unquote, believing based on relevant examples of where some fortunate people have been to the other side, which will help validate and give solid examples of all that you're trying to convey. I am sure that more converted, I don't like that word, converted believers, don't like that word, will help in turning the tide to make the world a better place. I love the idea of turning the tide to make the world a better place. So the first thing I want to say, Anil, is that understanding of truth, knowledge of truth, knowledge of awareness or consciousness cannot be based on a belief. Belief arises from aligning yourself from, belief arises from I'll repeat, I'm getting distracted by all these messages that are saying happy birthday to me. And listen, I don't believe in birthdays as a useful construct. Which birthday? Every moment there is birth and death, right? A thought is born, dies. Emotion is born, dies. Perception is born, dies. Experience is born, dies. Eternally now. So birth and death are the continuum of life in eternal now. So thank you for saying happy birthday, but let's give up the construct altogether and focus on the notion that by giving up this construct, birthday, we can truly understand the meaning of ageless body, timeless mind. Ageless body, timeless mind. I'll come back to that other construct, but first you have to get rid of the idea that you were ever born. Okay? You have to give up the idea that you were ever born. So I'll come back to that in a moment. But I want to answer Anil Pandey's question, which is based on this idea of belief. And I was saying belief comes from being embedded in a system of thought, be it philosophical or theological or religious or cultural or even scientific. So belief in the deeper reality is actually a cover-up for insecurity. Let's get rid of it. Now, are there examples of realized people? Oh yeah, so many. Ramana Maharishi, Krishnamurti in my opinion, Atmananda, Krishna Menon, Papaji, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Ramana Maharishi, and many, many other people who are not famous. Okay, but you can meet them all the time. And they have a loving presence, they have peace, they have equanimity, they have compassion, and they have spontaneous joy, and they have no fear of death because they've touched the timeless within them. So, Anil, belief is not required. Okay, faith on the other hand is very different from belief. Faith is the surrender to uncertainty. And what I'm realizing from your question is you want to have a belief that will give you a feeling of certainty. Well, that's not the right way. Faith is the ability to surrender to uncertainty, to step into the unknown, to not be attached to a construct or a story, and not be bamboozled and embedded in that system of thought. And when you do that, then you will discover truth. Now, having said that, how can you know truth, understand truth, be truth through your own discovery? And that is what I will come to after 15 seconds. Okay? So thank you very much for being patient, and I'll be back in 15 seconds. Thank you. So let's address Anil's question again, and let's do it through self-inquiry. So Anil, once upon a time, you had the experience of being a baby. You may not remember it, but you did have that experience. Another time you had the experience of being a toddler, a teenager, a young person. I don't know how old is that which you call your body. But there's no constant to your body, right? There's no constant to the experience of your body. Why? Because your body is a stream of sensations and sense perceptions, which are modified forms of awareness, and you call that stream of sensations and perceptions the body. Similarly, you call the world, or you have a word called the universe, which is another stream of sensations and perceptions. And as we've said before, this stream of sensations and perceptions is continuously changing. It's ungraspable. You cannot grasp it. No experience is graspable. But whatever the experience was that you had as a baby, the awareness in which you had the experience was the same, right? So awareness is the invariant in every experience that we call the body and the world. But there's another experience you're having right now, which is your thoughts, your emotions, and memories, imagination, which are all in the realm of thought, and they are also continuously being born and continuously dying, and they are ungraspable. If I tell you to hold on to this thought, you can't. So all experience is a snapshot, which is basically over as soon as it is born. And what we do is we kind of create the perception of time as a result of identifying with the interval between snapshots. And we create the construct that we call space by being aware of the interval between two perceptions. So this is a perception, this is a perception, in between is space. You extend this and we create the concept of time from here to here. Okay? It takes time to travel. So these are constructs. And where are these constructs? In you, in being. In the constructs themselves are the movement of thought. But can you see there's an invariant here? The only timeless factor in all these time-bound experiences is you, being. Being is awareness. Awareness is there now. Awareness will be there after this experience is over. And awareness is there when you dream. And actually awareness is there in deep sleep as well, only there is no experience. It's the quiescence of experience. Rupert Spira the other day said, deep sleep is not the absence of awareness, it's the awareness of absence. Absence of what? Experience. So there is consciousness, and then consciousness is modifying itself as experience. Now this is plain, simple self-inquiry, right? And there's nothing for you to do other than to understand that perceptions are innumerable, but awareness is the same. Okay, so the awareness in which I'm having the experience of this, which I call my body-mind, and all this, which I call the world, all that, which I call the painting, that awareness is where I'm having this particular localized experience. But you right now are having the experience watching that which you call Deepak on that which you call an iPhone or an Android or a computer, and it is the same awareness. How can it not be? Because awareness is neither the perceiver nor the perceived, nor in the deeper reality the process of perceiving. Awareness is the ground of existence in which all perceptions are happening. And each perception creates its own knower and own known. So knower, knowing and known. My teacher Maharishi used to call this the Samhita of Rishi, Devata and Chandas. So Rishi is the knower, Devata is the divine attribute of knowing, and Chandas, Rishi, Devata and Chandas is that which is known. All happening in awareness or in being. So as awareness becomes aware of itself, as consciousness becomes conscious of itself, it differentiates into knower, knowing and known, all the while remaining itself. That's why the talk that I did with Rupert Spira the other day, he said if you become aware of being aware, and you can do that right now, any moment, as you're listening to me, looking at me, be aware of that which is looking, be aware of that which is seeing, and you'll find peace, you'll find contentment, and you will find a muted joy in the beginning, but that muted joy will ultimately transform itself to unbounded joy, and that will also transform to itself to unbounded love, empathy, compassion, contentment, peace. There's nothing to do. As Rupert said to me the other day, it's a journey without distance. It's a journey without distance. One of the analogies that Rupert uses is you can look at the screen right now where you're watching me, for example, and the screen is modifying itself into this experience. There's no difference between the image and the screen. It's just the screen as the image, right? But if you turn your attention from the image, which is a good metaphor here for any experience, as you turn your attention away from the experience to that which is having the experience, then already there's a quiescence, quietening of the fluctuations of being, which we normally refer to as mind, body, universe. That's why it's a journey without distance. I don't know if you read the 4 quartets. Let me actually look it up right now on the internet. I'll look it up right this moment on the internet, and the 4 quartets, and I'll read them to you, especially this very beautiful poem that T.S. Eliot has about this very thing that we are talking. So give me a second. 4 quartets. T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot. Here we go. 4 quartets. T.S. Eliot text. Let's find it right here. Let me go a little bit on time, and I'll read that, okay? But it's from the poem Burnt Norton. Let me read this. It's so beautiful. Okay, so let me read it now. Time present and time past are both perhaps present in time future, and time future contained in time past. If all time is eternally present, all time is unredeemable. What might have been is an abstraction, remaining a perpetual possibility only in a world of speculation. What might have been and what has been point to one end, which is always present. Footfalls echo in the memory down the passage which we did not take, towards the door we never opened, into the rose garden. My words echo thus in your mind, but to what purpose, disturbing the dust on a bowl of rose leaves? I do not know. Other echoes inhabit the garden. Shall we follow? Quick, said the bird, find them, round the corner, through the first gate, into our first world. Shall we follow? The deception of the thrush, into our first world. There they were, dignified, invisible, moving without pressure over the dead leaves, in the autumn heat, through the vibrant air, and the bird called in response to the unheard music, hidden in the shrubbery, and the unseen eye-beam crossed, for the roses had the lock of flowers that are looked at. There they were as our guests, accepted and accepting. So we moved, and they in a formal pattern, along the empty alley, into the box circle, to look down into the drained pool. The pool, dry concrete, brown-edged, and the pool was filled with water out of sunlight. and the lotus rose quietly, quietly. The surface glittered out of heart of light, and they were behind us, reflected in the pool. Then a cloud passed, and the pool was empty. Go, said the bird, for the leaves were full of children, hidden excitedly containing laughter. Go, 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 said the bird. Humankind cannot bear very much reality. Time past and time future, what might have been and what has been, point to one end, which is always present. So you see, as humans we create stories, and those stories are beautiful because they give us joy. Those constructs are stories, but then you have to ask who or what is telling the story. And then you have to turn to the being which is not only creating stories, but embedding itself in those stories and creating the constructs of space-time causality and experiences within those constructs. Nothing wrong with that. We can upgrade those stories, create a better world, move in the direction critically, which is what you're asking, Anil, of a more peaceful, just, sustainable, and healthier and joyful world, all the while remembering that we, being, is at the root of thought, at the root of constructs, at the root of stories, at the root of imagination, at the root of creativity, at the root of intuition, at the root of the story, at the root of the movie that we are producing as this body mind in this world, in this universe. And you can do this just by being. Just by being. So I will end today with T.S. Eliot in the same way that I spoke to you. But let me find a good way to end, okay? At the still point of the turning world, neither flesh nor fleshless, neither from nor towards, at the still point, there the dance is, but neither arrest nor movement, and do not call it fixity. Where past and future are gathered, neither movement from nor towards, neither ascent nor decline, except for the point, the still point. There would be no dance, and there is only the dance. I repeat that. Except for the still point, there would be no dance, and there is only the dance. I can only say, there we have been, but I cannot say where. I cannot say how long, for that is to place it in time. The inner freedom from the practical desire, the release from action and suffering, release from the inner and the outer compulsion, yet surrounded by a grace of sense, a white light, still and moving, erebang, without motion, concentration, without elimination, both a new world and the old made explicit. Understand in the completion of its partial ecstasy, the resolution of its partial or horror, yet the enchantment of past and future, woven in the weakness of the changing body, protects mankind from heaven and damnation, which flesh cannot endure. Time past and time future allow but a little consciousness. To be conscious is not to be in time. But only in time can the moment in the rose garden, the moment in the arbor where the rain beat, the moment in the doughty church at Smokefall be remembered, involved with past and future. Only through time is time conquered. Time before and time after, eructation of unhealthy souls into the faded air, the torpid, driven on the wind that sweeps the gloomy hills of London, Hampstead and Clerkenwell, Campden and Putney, Highgate, Primrose, Ludgate. Not here, the darkness in this twittering world. Time and the bell have buried the day. The black cloud carries the sun away. Will the sunflower turn to us? Will the clemats stray down, bend to us, tendril and spray, clutch and cling? Fingers of you be curled down on us after the kingfisher's wing has answered light to light and is silent. The light is still at the still point of the turning world. Worlds move, music moves, only in time. But that which is only living can only die. Words after speech reach into the silence. Only by the form, the pattern, can words or music reach the stillness, as a Chinese jar still moves perpetually in its stillness. Not the stillness of the violin while the note lasts, not that only, but the coexistence, or say that the end precedes the beginning, and the end and the beginning were always there, before the beginning and after the end, and all is always now. Words strain, crack, and sometimes break under the burden, under the tension, slip, slide, perish, decay with imprecision, will not stay in place, will not stay still, shrieking voices, scolding, mocking, or merely chattering, always assail them. The word in the desert is most attacked by voices of temptation, the crying shadow in the funeral dance, the loud lament of the disconsolate chimera. And he goes on, but let me end with one of his very famous quotes. But before that, I promised I'd talk to you about ageless body, timeless mind. So ageless body, timeless mind has no birthdays. Timeless mind is the ground state of the universe, and ageless body is the universe. So let me end with two quotes from Lord Shiva in the Shiva Sutras. Lord Shiva, the destroyer of time, is speaking to Shakti, the goddess of manifestation. And he says, meditate on your body as the universe and having the nature of awareness. Meditate on your body as the universe and having the nature of awareness. Think about that. I can do a whole session on that later. The second sutra from Lord Shiva, destroyer of time, to Shakti, the goddess of manifestation, is step out of the river of conditioning and memory and see the world as if for the first time. Then, only then, will you know the meaning of ageless body, timeless mind. To end with T.S. Eliot, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring shall be to arrive at the place that we started from and know the place for the first time. Know the place for the first time. There is bliss in ignorance, and there is bliss in enlightenment and understanding. You can choose right now which one. In between the bliss and ignorance of the baby and the bliss in enlightenment of the sage, is all the distress. Be here now and see the world for the first time. Thank you. See you tomorrow.